My name is Andre and welcome to Your Guitar Workshop. In today's lesson, we're going to be looking at Mr. Sandman, and the version of it is by Chet Atkins. I found a video of his on YouTube, which is sort of a live performance during a TV show, and it has some variations to the original that he recorded on his album. The tablature is available on my Patreon page, and what I'll do in this video is I'll record the tutorial part twice. Now, the first one is going to be with everything you need, so I'm going to be explaining which fingers I use, like positions, but after that I'm going to do just sort of a really slow playthrough from start to finish, also in sections. But so if you're sort of don't really need the guidance, then just skip through to that spot in the video, and yeah, then you should probably be good. That's it for now. Let's get into the first parts. I'll play for you first, and then we'll get into how to play that on the guitar. Here we go. All right, so what do? You start off with just a little bass line that goes up. Starts with pinky on 7th of A, 4th of D with your pointer finger, and 6th of that same D string with your ring finger. By the way, what's good to know is that I'm using a thumb pick, as is Chet Atkins, I believe. And a lot of the bass notes are actually palm muted. So you'll need to do some palm muting to play these things properly, right? All right, so the first chord is A major 7. So that's pointer finger in 4th of E, middle finger in 5th of B, ring finger in 6th of G, and pinky in 7th of D. And what I'm doing, so my thumb is playing basically the bass strings, and my pointer finger is playing G, middle finger is playing B, and ring finger is playing E string, right? And that stays pretty much unchanged, I think, throughout the song. So you play D, G, B, E. Then you stretch your pointer finger to second position. That turns it into an A major 6 chord. Then you play E, B, G, D, right? Sorry. And make no mistake about it, that is a giant stretch. So you'll have to sit properly for it. Actually, this guitar isn't really helping me here at all. Then you go to the next chord, which is B minor 7. So that's pointer finger in 5th of E, ring finger 7th of B, middle finger 7th of G, and pinky is in 9th of D. And there you play D, G, B, E, and then you stretch your pointer finger to 4th position, and you play that, right? And I do this with a forward roll, right? So thumb, pointer, middle, ring, just roll them one by one, right? So let's do this together. 3, 4, and again. And that last time, you just pluck the strings at once. So D, G, B, and E, just once. And that second chord, so the chord that comes after the B minor 7, is an E9 chord. It's good to know. All right, let's go to the next section. And that goes like this. All right, so what do? It starts off with a pickup on the B string with middle finger in 5th to pinky in 7th. Then you go to A major 7 with an added 6. So how do you play that? That's pointer finger in 4th of E, pinky in 7th of B, middle finger is in 6th of G, and ring finger is in 7th of D. All right, so what is good to know is that the bass, like your thumb, is playing an alternating bass. So you play, right? So you play A, E, A, E. In between, you're strumming D and G string, right? So you got A, strum, E, strum, A, strum, E, strum. With that first A string, so on the first beat, you add pointer finger, G, and ring finger, E string. Then with your E string, you add G and B with pointer finger and middle finger. Right? That's it. That's the first bar. Then in the second bar of the verse, you get this part. Right? What do? You play E, G, and B. E, G, and high E with thumb, pointer, ring finger. And this is over a G sharp 7 chord. So your pointer finger is in 4th position of all your strings. Pinky is in 7th of B. Middle finger is in 5th of G. And ring finger is in 6th of D. So I'm playing E, G, high E. Then D, G, high E. Right? And then back to the first one. And then back to D, G, high E. Right? So now what's good to know is that in the original, actually the melody goes down to the F sharp. So you have this. Right? So instead of doing all with ring finger on top, playing your middle finger on the B string there. So you got whatever you do is up to you. All right, so we got this. Then we play the bass, then D and G's again with a strum. Then we get this bass line up, playing 6th of E, and then 3rd of A. All right? So all right, so now for the next 2 bars, and that goes like this. Now for the next 2 bars, goes like this. All right, the chord we are playing here is C sharp 7 with an augmented 5th. So that is pinky. So basically that's ring finger in 4th of G, B, and E. Pointer finger is in 3rd of D. Middle finger is in 4th of your A string. We're not really playing the B string. And we're adding our pinky in 5th position of our high E string. All right. So also here we have an alternating bass line. So you're playing that 4th position of your A string to 4th position of your E string. Now, whether you're doing that separately and moving your middle finger or just fretting those 2 strings with your middle finger at once and not having to move that finger, that's up to you. So you start with playing A string, then D, G, high E, then E, G, high E, then D, G, high E, but now without the pinky, right? So then you go back to A, G, and high E. And then D, G, and high E. Then you go put your middle finger on your low E string again. Play that as a single. Then remove your pinky, play G and high E. And then strum D and G. Right, so I get this. Then you go to the next bar. There you fret an F sharp 7 flat 13. So that's pinky in 3rd of B, ring finger in 3rd of G, middle finger in 2nd of D, and pointer finger is in 2nd of E. There you play this. do there? You fret low E and B together, then strum D and G, right? Then you play both E strings together, thumb and ring finger. Then D, G, and B with thumb, pointer, and middle. Then you do E string, then D and G with a strum. Then pinky, at least that's what I do, on a fourth of your E string to point a finger first of your A string, right? And that's that bass line that walks up to the next chord. And then we go to the next 4 bars, and those are played like this. All right, so what do? You start off with a B7, 9 with a 13. And that is a lot. So basically what you do is you start off with, similar to what we had with the C-sharp 7 with an augmented 5th. So you have your ring finger flat, pointer finger, and middle finger, but you just move this part down 2 frets, so a whole step. And then instead of your pinky being 1 fret up from your ring finger, it's 2 frets up. So it's in 4th, right? And then you play like this. So you play A string, then D, G, and E, right? Then you switch your middle finger to a low E string, play E, G, and low E. Right, so then D, G, and E without the pinky. Then put your pinky back on and your middle finger back on the A string. You play A, G, and E. Middle finger plays B, and then thumb plays D and G, like this. Remove your pinky and play high E. Then put your middle finger on your E string and strum D and G, like this. Then you go to E7, 13. And there you play this. So what do you do there? Ring finger is in 2nd of B, pointer finger 1st of G, middle finger is in 2nd of A. And you play E and B string, then D and G with a strum, then A and B, thumb and middle finger, then D and G again, middle finger B, like this. Then you play E string, high E string, then D string, like this. Right, so you get, and then you get that bass walking up from middle finger 2nd of E to pinky 4th of E. And then we go to the next chord. So there we have A major with an added 9. So that is pointer finger in 1st of your E string, middle finger is in 6th of your G, ring finger is in 7th of your D, and your pinky is going to be in 7th of your high E string. So you got 2 fingers on 1 string at the moment, and with good reason. So you start by playing A string, then you play D, G, and E, then you play E, G, and high E, then you play D, G, and high E, but now you remove your pinky. Right, so you got, then you do A, G, and E again, then D, G, and E again, but now without the pinky. Right, so you got, then E, G, and high E again with your pinky again, and then D, G, and E without the pinky. Right? Then F7, 9. So you have your ring finger in 8th of G, B, and E. Pointing finger is in 7th of D, and middle finger is in 8th of your A string. And you play A, G, and E, right? Then strum D and G. Then you do the same, but now the bass is on the E string. Strum. Then you go to E7, 13. So that is your B7, 9, 13, but then moved all the way up here where your ring finger is in 7th position. And there you play A, G, and E. Strum D and G. Then put your middle finger on your E string and play E, G, and E. And then strum D and G again, like this. Sorry. All right? So those 4 bars together, 3, 4, and... All right, so now we'll have a look at the second verse. I'll play it for you, and then we'll get into to play that on the guitar. Here we go. Something like that. Okay, so what do you do? The first bar is the same as the first bar of the first verse, but minus the pickup. So there you just play. Then you get the second bar, and there you do have a variation. So there you play the following thing. Right? So what do? You play the bass note here, then G and E, then strum D and G with your thumb. Then you play E, G, and high E again. Play middle finger, B string, then strum D and G, and then with your pointer finger and ring finger, play G and high E again, like this. Then you play E string, then strum D and G. Then you get that bass line that walks up from 6 on E to 3rd on A, right? So like this. Then in the next bar, you play this. So what do? You have that C#7 with an augmented 5th. And actually, in this case, you're actually using the 9th as well. So it's a C#9, #5. And what do? You start by playing A string with your thumb, then G and E with pointer finger, ring finger, and then you play D and G, so like this. Right? Then you switched with your middle finger to your E string, play E, G, and E. Right? So then you play D, G, and E, but now without your pinky. So like. And then you get this part. So this is where that 9 comes in. And that is with your middle finger back on your A string and your pinky back on your E string. And you play A, G, and E. Then middle finger plays B. And then you play thumb, D, and G. And then you play E string, but without the pinky, like this. Then middle finger goes back to the E string, and then you play D and G, all right? Then you move on to the F sharp 7 flat 13, and there you play pretty much the same thing. And here sort of we get a little bit of a variation. So you play E and B, then you strum D and G, but not before we have swapped out our fingers, where pinky goes to 3rd on G and ring finger to 2nd on B. Play that and then play with your middle finger B string. All right, so. And then we get to the next 4 bars. That goes like this. And then you get. So what do? You start off with a normal, regular B minor chord. And you play A and G together, then D string, and then B string. Right? Then play 2nd position E string, and then strum D and G. Then you move up, put your pointer finger in 7th position of G and B. Ring finger is a 9th of D, and you have open A, right? So you play A and B together, then you strum D and G, then you put your pinky on 10th of B, and then you put your thumb on 7th of E, and then you strum D and G, like this. And then you get this part. So what do you play? So you play E and B together with thumb and middle finger, then pointer finger plays G, and then you strum D and G with your thumb, and then you play B with middle finger again, like this. Then you play A and then strum D and G, then you play E and then strum D and G, like this. Then you play B with your middle finger. Then you make a pull-off and at the same time play A string. And this is where my middle finger sort of comes in, because that's the one I put on 10th position of that B string. So then I put my pinky back onto that 12th position, play with my middle finger, and then I strum D and G. All right, so you got this. In the next bar, we go to B7, 9, then to E7, 13, and then to E7 over B. So what do? With a B7, you have your pointer finger as a bar in 7th position of all your strings. Middle finger is an 8th of G, and pinky is in 9th of E. And you play E, G, and E together, then strum D and G, and you do that all once more. Then you go to that E7 with a 9 and a 13. We've played that one before. And you play A, G, and E. And you play A, G, and E, then strum D and G. Then you put your pointer finger on 5th of E, and ring finger in 7th of G, and middle finger in 6th of D, and your thumb frets 7th of E, low E. Play E, G, and high E, and then put your pinky on 7th of that high E, and play G and E once more, and then strum D and G, like this. Like this. And then you get this. So you play a basic A major chord. So you have your F major chord, like easy 1st position chord. Move it up to 5th position. Then you play A, D, G, A, B, D, and then you play A and E together. And then you get this. But that's for another video. All right, so now for the slow playthrough, what I'll do is I'll probably do this in 4-bar sections. I'll tell you which ones they are and take it from there. So the first 4-bar section is going to be the intro. Here we go. All right. Now for the next 4-bar section, which is the first 4 bars of the first verse. And it starts with a pickup. And here we go. The next 4 bars is the second set of 4 bars of the verse, of the first verse. And it starts with a B7. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so now for the second verse. And here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now for the last 4 bars of that second verse. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want the tablature, if you need it still after this video, it's available on my Patreon page. Make sure to subscribe and hope to see you again sometime.